I was pregnant and my body was producing milk.
Wow.
The amount of times in which they poked me in that hospital to just make sure that my sugar level was normal, to make sure that my cholesterol, everything was... I went through a lot of injections. And so I was given two choices, either to take drugs for the rest of my life to reduce the tumor or to have surgery. Yeah. So there's no guarantee on whether I was going to come back the same or not. So first things, all marriage is a scam. That was a clickbait, and that was me being sarcastic. My mom told me marriage is an institution. They say when they call you Mrs., it calls you, it's Masters in Residential Services.
I love it.
Yes. I'm not married, not because I don't want to be married. Right. I know that there's a lot that I bring to the table. And if you're a man who doesn't know who he is, you cannot be with me. And I say that with humility.
Come for me.
Right, great to see you.
Same here.
So I already warned you I was going to put you on the spot when we start.
A second ago.
To put it in context.
A second ago, just for everyone to know.
When I said this show, you were one of the very first guests I wanted to talk to.
Yes.
My producers reached you, you said you were not ready.
Yes.
What were you not ready for and what changed?
So I'll be very honest with you. Even the second time I was reached out to, I had to consult with the powers that be. Be it my Jehovah, myself, and myself again. The same reason why I don't do interviews. I keep telling people first things first, I'm a lawyer before anything else. And so for me, image and branding is something, I don't just say it as there is a brand, I'm trying to build followership. I take it literal. I learned that I'm a fourth generational lawyer.
Right.
My granddad was one of the first SANs in the Delta South.
Right.
So I when it comes to representation, how you present yourself, how you carry yourself, those are things that I take very, 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 very highly because of how I was raised.
Right.
And so I've also learned coming into this industry that media is great. However, I mean, you can only do your best to make sure that you're not misinterpreted or misquoted, right? But there's only so much in which you can. And so I learned earlier to just try and control my narrative.
Right.
So whatever you see out there, I put out there.
Right.
Even in terms of picture taking, I'm not really a picture person. So if you see pictures of me fully, first of all, know that it was intentional. Maybe it was my birthday shoot. If not, it's probably just selfies. I don't do interviews, not because I don't like to. I'm naturally a very misunderstood person.
Right.
Yes, I am.
Really?
No, yes, I am. I mean, by those that don't know me, not by people that know me.
Okay.
So first of all, just to give context, I don't think it's my job to correct every narrative about me. And I'm one of those people that I believe get to know a person first. Don't just judge by what people say or by the book, because I'm that person.
Right.
You can tell me, oh, I'm not friends with Chude, you know, this is what I think about Chude. And I'm like, okay, cool. However, Chude walks up to me and we have great energy and we connect. Listen, Chude might not be your friend, but Chude and I are friendly. That's the kind of person that I am. Right. So I always give room and grace for people, but I've learned that the media, the industry is not necessarily like that. And I'm not vulnerable per se. So I like the people that know me to be able to see the real side of me.
Right.
The world can assume whatever they want. It's not my place to correct them. So hence why, honestly, I don't do interviews. I don't like attention, honestly speaking. So I was like, there's nothing to say. But then I prayed about it and I was like, you know what, what harm is it going to bring, right? So let's go ahead.
I'm glad, you know, God is my executive producer. So,
Amen.
So he spoke to you and said, do it. Because I follow your YouTube page.
Oh my God.
I love Lagos Doings.
That means you know me.
I know you.
Because if you only people that follow me on YouTube have a better...
Yes, that's why I wanted to talk to you.
Into me.
Because I'm your YouTube follower. I love
it.
And so somebody will say, a person who doesn't like to put themselves out there, but on your YouTube page, that's what I was going to ask, exactly that. Your followers feel like we have a sense of who you are, of what drives you, of where your mind is at with regard to relationships, Lagos, business. And so how do you manage that?
I'm the person that you would see from afar and have a few perceptions. And the few I can speak on are only the few that maybe I've heard of, which is the standoffish, stock up, maybe arrogant to a certain extent. The core of it that a lot of people don't know. And I guess only my mom and people that know me is the fact that, first of all, AbimBola Craig is shy.
Right.
People don't, and that's what you heard me when I said I don't like attention. It's not because I'm, oh my God, it's because I'm generally very shy. But people don't know that. I am outspoken when I need to be, but I'm not loud. but I'm shy. And so my YouTube channel is the only avenue I find to be able to express myself. As I've gotten older, I've become way more very introspective. And I would like to say with all pride and proudness, that if that's the word, that I'm self-aware.
Right. I want to talk about the vulnerability, and I want to go back to the beginning of your public career. But, so why are you not practicing law?
So I am.
Okay.
Hey, my legal people, don't come for me. I pay my legal dues.
Literally, I'm sure. You show your MBA every...
Listen, my mother does not. She will come here and be like, you paid your...
Yes.
You are now doing 10 years, so that means that your money has gone up. This is the account. Like I said, I'm a 4th-generational lawyer. My granddad was a lawyer. My uncles, my aunties. My mother is a lawyer. It's a family thing. And growing up, if you see me and you see my mother, we're literally like day and night.
Right.
And my mom, I keep telling people, when they say, oh, who's your mentor? Who's your person you look up to? It's my mother. There's nobody else in this world. It's who I have seen. I have seen her life. I've seen her trajectory. That is who I look up to. And so all I ever wanted to be growing up was just my mom. And so when I think about it career-wise, it was the easiest thing. You know, you're growing up and you say, what do you want to become? I want to be a lawyer like my mommy. And so, hence, you know, went to school, D-Day levels, went to the same university. My mother went to University of Buckingham. Came back to study law school because my dad fell ill and my parents had to go to America for treatment. So I came to Nigeria back for law school. And I was in law school, and I remember, I'll never forget, I was sitting down and I remember having a conversation in class with one of our tutors, and we were going back and forth. We bar one students, those are the people that school abroad first. So we're going back and forth and we're like, wait, it's funny how, so you're telling me that all we've read in school, we come back now and you're telling me that it's all paper. It's not practical because it doesn't apply.
Yeah.
And it's crazy for me. And I was like, Then I come out of law school and I start working in a law firm.
So your dad had his own law firm and your mom had her own law firm?
No, my dad was a chemical engineer before he left. And I left the law firm. I was at my mom's law firm for a year. And during that time was when I started having health complications. And my brother was getting married in 2013. So we went to America for my brother's wedding, and I decided to do a checkup there. And that's when I found out I had a brain tumor. And when I found out about the tumor, I kept on telling God that, hey, daddy 4 years ago had just passed from cancer. I don't want to put my mom through stress and emotional stress, most especially before even financial stress. But God, if I survive this tumor, I need to find out what it is that I want to do. And when I find it, for the duration in which I find it, I'm going to hold on to it. Literally speaking. And a few weeks after, Indani said they were hiring, and I even applied for social media. And when I went for the interview, I'll never forget, there was Jadi Sola Oshibere, there were a bunch of other people there as well. And they asked me what I wanted to do, and I started crying. And they were wondering why I was crying, and I said it felt like it was the first time someone was genuinely asking me in my adult life what I wanted to do. Not taking what I had said I wanted to do when I was 5 years old and holding me accountable for it in this my age. And so I said, okay, we had a good conversation. I said, okay, no problem. You can have the job, however, we'll start you with something smaller first. And I said, okay, no problem. But hey, by the way, let me tell you guys, I need to go for surgery. I don't know if I'm going to survive the surgery, but if I survive the surgery, do I have this job? And he said, yes, go and come back. And I literally went and I came back. And the first production I worked on was The Juice Season 2. And I'll never forget going into that studio and seeing Tool sitting down and seeing all the cameras and all the lights, and I just smiled. It literally felt like, okay, this was the beginning of something.
Yeah.
I don't know what exactly or where it's going to lead to, but it just felt, it felt different. There's a way in which you know. If you've ever experienced those kind of transitions in your life, then you get it. It just felt different.
Yeah, I get that. I totally understand.
Different.
Yeah. But it's such a writer's thing to do, to just mention, by the way, that you had a brain tumor.
I don't let that experience shape me.
Right.
Even though it did, but I
Yeah.
don't let it.
Yeah. When you say it did, how did it?
I'd just taken a shower and I was lying down on my bed, and I noticed that my top was wet by my left breast. And I was like, what's going on? So I went, I changed. I was like, maybe I didn't dry myself well. And then maybe like 2 hours after, I wake up again and it was wet. And I smell it, and it smelled like fermented. I can't explain it. And so I was like, So I sit down on the bed and I remember pressing my breast and I saw milk. And I was like, this is crazy. And so instantly, things like that happen to you, Google. And Google said brain tumor. It said lump in your breast. And when I was much younger in secondary school, I'd had a lump taken out from my breast, but it was benign. So I assumed, okay, maybe this was a regrowth. So I didn't think anything of it. Google also said stress, hormonal imbalance. So I'm thinking to myself, let me give it time. Maybe this too will pass. 3 months and it hadn't passed. And eventually I was like, you know what, it even shifted to the right breast. And I was like, no, this is not normal, because I knew first of all I wasn't pregnant. And so I was like, this is crazy. So I set my mom down and I'm like, Mommy, this is what's going on with me. She's like, why didn't you tell me since? What's going on? I was like, I don't know. So we go to see a doctor in female hospital in Nigeria here. And typical them, you know, like, oh, then I'm big, but then I was huge. And so we sit down and it's like, oh yeah, first of all, it's your weight. If you lose a bit of weight, you know, your hormones will balance out. And I was like, okay, cool. We leave then. I was like, Mom, I told you that's why I didn't want to go. They always say it's always weight first. Everything in Nigeria is always your weight first.
Yes.
And so she's like, okay, you know what, when we're going for your brother's wedding, we'll do a checkup. And so we get to America and we'll go to Northside Hospital and they're like, okay, do an MRI and do a mammogram. And the results come out and the mammogram was fine. Right. And then the MRI showed that I had a tumor resting on my pituitary gland. Now, your pituitary gland is what sends signal to your body and makes your body produce milk.
Right, yes,
exactly.
I just remembered it from
Yes, so the tumor was resting on my pituitary gland, hence why it was signaling to my body that I was pregnant and my body was producing milk.
Wow.
And so I was given 2 choices, either to take drugs for the rest of my life to reduce the tumor or to have surgery.
Yeah.
And I remember sitting down and weighing it, and I was like, listen, and I guess I've said that on my channel before, but this is the first time I'll publicly say it. At that point in my life, it was the first time I was ever made aware of my weight. And the only reason was because, like I said, I went to 2 different hospitals in America for different consultations. And every time they would poke me, they would check my sugar level. They'd be like, oh yeah, your BMI is this. And you know, I mean, we say all these things in Nigeria, but you don't pay attention because, again, me, I was comfortable. I felt sexy. I didn't care what anybody thought. I'd been big all my life, so I really didn't care much for it. And so it was the first time I was made aware of my weight. And so when they gave me the 2 options, at that point I was like, you know what, I'm already dealing with this being overweight. The last thing I need to add to it is taking drugs and explaining to people that, oh yeah, the reason why I'm taking this, and then there are side effects, sometimes steroids as well, which part of it is weight gain. And I'm like, imagine already being aware now that, okay, I need to work on my weight. Then I take these pills and then it doubles my size. I just have no control over it. I'd rather just risk doing the surgery and then be like, you know what, God, into your hands. And literally, the surgery. Yes.
Right. So when you were saying to the team at Ndani that if you make it through this surgery, then you take the job, was that exaggeration or there was really a chance that you might not have come out alive?
In my mind, there was a chance that I wouldn't have.
Right.
And I'll tell you why. Around the time in which I went for my surgery, correct me if I'm wrong, I think Julius Agu had a similar surgery as well.
Right.
And during that time, I think he had some side effects. I remember that he woke up one day and he said one side of his was paralyzed or something. And if you know anything about brain surgery, first of all, there are countless people that after post-surgery, there are lots of things that their body starts to react to. So there's no guarantee on whether I was going to come back the same or not. So when I was saying, I don't think they dwelled much on it. Even I was saying it in terms of passing because I don't know, but the likelihood was it was a 50-50, not to be dramatic.
But let's just move on with that. But were you afraid? Were you afraid? Was it fear or was it apprehension? Or, you know, what was the precise emotion?
I think it was a lot of it, but the biggest emotion for me was guilt. Guilt? I'll tell you why. For me, it was guilt because, like I said, 4 years prior to that, my dad passed 2010, December 4th. And before that, for 4 years before he passed, he was diagnosed with colon cancer. And my mom was his primary caregiver. So she literally quit work, then moved to America where he was taking treatment. So for 4 years, my mom was by his side watching this man. I remember I was in law school then, they'll call me, oh, he might die today. I'll fly all the way from Nigeria to America. He will leave again. I will come back again, go to law school. So I felt like in those 4 years, my mom had gone through so much emotional, draining, mental work that to now find out again that your child is now being diagnosed with something that, again, you don't know which direction it's going to go. I felt bad. I didn't necessarily blame myself, but I felt bad for my mom. I felt like I was about to take her again on another roller coaster. So I'll be very honest, and I don't think I've ever told her that, was guilt first, then fear, but guilt first.
Wow, emotions are funny things.
They are. And I'm that person where, again, because I've said this before, I don't express. And I don't know because I don't want to, but I genuinely feel like people are dealing with a lot. The least thing I can do for you as my friend, as family, is not burden you with my burden. maybe because of the way I think a lot of people see me, I'm not sure that they see me. Right? And so I would be honest to say every once in a while hearing things like this from you gives that validation that you can honestly live your authentic truth, and those that connect will connect. And for me, that's always the mantle I've always taken. It's not to be able to touch everyone, but to hope that the few that I do, they honestly know that you are not alone. This too will pass. Literally speaking.
How much of Skinny Girl in Transit was autobiographical?
You know, SJIT is an interesting one. I'll say that because it's the truth. When Timmy B of Cool FM then, I don't know if she still works there now, had come up with the idea, the person who even approached me about it was a gentleman called Onos. And he had come and he had told me...
Onos Ovari?
Yes.
And
he had told me, Obimbo, this is what the thing is going to be about. And I was like, okay, that's interesting. However, I think it can be more, but okay, no problem. There's this lady that I've just met recently, we've connected, and I think she can write it. And that was Dami Elebe. And I'd reached out to Dami and I said, yo, Dami, there's something they're going to call you. As I tell me which conversation was being made, Folu Storms was even meant to be producing it. So not even me. I was literally like story of my life. Most times, if you ask my friend, I'm a connector. I love connecting people. It takes nothing from me. I have no expectations of you either. If I can bring two of you together and you can make magic, please go ahead. And so it was one of those connecting people together. And so when they had decided on the script and everything and they had shot season 1, and they decided I was going to act in it. When I say days, the people from GT head office. After we finished season 1 and Folu had left and Danny, I was told, okay, I was going to produce it. And I remember sitting down with Dami then. So
you were told you were going to act in it before you were told you were going to produce it?
Oh, yes. So first season I acted in it.
Right. So you were not producing first season?
No, first season I did not. I started producing from season 2 to season 6.
Okay.
So by the time it was time for season 2, I'd sat down with Dami and we'd had conversations. And we're like, you know what? Let's see how relatable. You know, for me, and I would say this, with Skinny, every time I just come up with ideas, some people will say oral synopsis, and I would agree with that.
Thank you. I didn't know that there was such a thing as oral synopsis, so I'm not mad.
No, you me just coin now. But the fact that you understand
yes, I'm going to go with it. Yes, there are plenty of words.
That's okay.
I see now my voice recorder is proof of that.
Period.
It wasn't autobiographical.
Oh, no.
It was just you now running with the idea.
Literally speaking.
But no people think that part of it must have been autobiographical for you, especially because you were a producer.
Far from. Even the weight loss, it was not intended for the character at all.
Right.
It was literally because of the fact that I had just come back from brain surgery. And after that, because the entire time, the amount of times in which they poked me in that hospital to just make sure that my sugar level was normal, to make sure that my cholesterol, everything was... I went through a lot of injections. And so I came out and I was like, you know what, let me try. My entire life, I never tried to work out. I'd literally just woken up and moved on with life. Now, bigger, no key person. However, I finished that brain surgery and I was like, you know what, let me try and see. If it doesn't work out, at least I know that I tried. And that's how working out for me became a staple thing. And so I realized that there were lots of people that every time I post on my social media, it inspired a lot of people. And I'm like, you know what, how about we get this character from just being the normal, I'm a big girl, it's okay, to showing real struggles. And so that's how the journey of that character was, it started flowing to be honest with you.
So not intention, but after a while you began to have
the cross mirrors a bit.
Yes.
Yes, for sure.
I mean, again, I think that Skinny Girl, I've never watched Skinny Girl in Transit, which is weird because it's one of the brands I talk about. When people say abroad, when they ask me, what can I watch? What content can I watch in Nigeria? I'm like, before you go and watch something that will make you judge,
what's Skinny Girl? Even though you know what.
Watch this one first. Then after this one,
I
can now bring you out. This was because watching series on the web is just something that I'm unable to do.
I have friends that they feel the same way.
Yeah, but Skinny Girl in Transit, I think, and I could be wrong, I think it's one of those pop culture things. When it comes to web series, it's not the one with the most traffic, but I think if somebody was going to do a list, it would be possibly the most celebrated web series in the country.
Wow.
I think so. I don't think, and I'm trying to think now. Now that I'm even saying it out, I'm trying to question it. I'm like, no.
No, I've heard it before. Let me not be humble.
Exactly. And Skinny Girl also inspired other creators to think, okay, I don't need to wait for them to commission me.
Yeah. I can do this.
Then the worst one that Skinny Girl in Transit did is that it spawned an entire line of relationship drama.
Yes.
Because our web series in Nigeria are mostly relationship, and I think it is your fault.
It truly is. Because even now, someone will see me outside, how is me day? So you people are not dating in real life.
He was here, I asked him. He said, even till now, people are still asking till date.
That's my G.
Yeah, he said, so we are very close.
No, that's my boy.
Yeah, so are you still with Danny?
No,
Right.
I haven't been since November 2020.
Right. When was Game On produced?
When we were having, in the neck and thick of COVID.
Right.
Yes, that was when Game On was produced.
Ah,
so that was in
right.
2019.
2020. But it didn't come out in 2021.
Yes.
Right. So that's why I thought that you were
Yes.
still there at least
No,
until 2021.
2020. That was the last project I worked on before I left.
Right.
I even ended up directing it.
So you directed Game On?
Yes, I
that's
produced and
nice.
directed Game On.
Right. I've seen clips from Game On. I think
Yeah.
people really also connected with
that.
Game On. Yes. You're used to creating content that people universally praise.
Yes.
Yeah.
I know where you're going. I can feel it before you say it. Oluwa. Right on.
Glamour girls.
You see, I said I know where you're going. Before you talk it, I'll say it. Please go ahead. Yeah, what happened?
You produced Glamour Girls.
Yes, I did.
Glamour Girls was a huge success, a huge hit. One of Netflix's only Nigerian originals or Nigerian content that traveled was number 10 in several countries.
1 to 5 was the top 5.
Top 5.
Yeah,
in
till date.
Even till date. So I didn't
Till
even know that
date.
till date. Great. So, blow out success. Even the guys at the platforms know that. But then critically, it was mixed to negative, What was that like for you? And do you agree with the critics?
So first thing I'll say is whether I agree or not is for the birds and the bees.
Right.
And I say that because I've come to that point where, for me, being a creative, whatever you create, which ends up being art, is left and open to interpretation, right? Someone will see this painting. To you, it's beautiful. To me, I see multiple faces inside. There's a man, there's a woman. Oh my God, someone come here, oh my God, this thing is touching me. She's like a representation, right? She can start crying, looking at this, and I'm like, what is going on here? So for me, first of all, I'm learning not to take my work that I do as personal,
Right.
because not everybody would take it, understand it, interpret it the way I will.
Right. But
Yeah.
you had a video on your YouTube called "Marriage is all marriage is a scam."
Yes.
So can you defend yourself, one, and why are you not married?
Okay. So first things, all marriage is a scam. That was a clickbait, and that was me being sarcastic.
Yeah,
I think
I
a lot of
watched
people
it.
don't understand. And when I speak, first of all, I speak sarcasm. If you've been around me, you will know that I'm a very sarcastic
Sweet person.
person. And it's not because I'm trying to be rude to you. It's because
Yeah.
I'm hoping that when you leave me, you are questioning, wait, was this babe serious, or maybe there's depth in what she said? And so first of all, that was me just trying to take a jab at people, because I feel like a lot of people in our generation constantly complain about a lot of things, especially when it comes to marriage. And then you who is single, they tell you not to speak on it because you're single. And I've said this before, I think it's a stupid man who came up with the phrase that experience is the best teacher. And I say that with all due respect to him, because I don't think you need to experience everything to be able to speak on it.
Right.
I already know that if I put my hand in fire, it go burn me. Bros, now until I put my hand inside fire first, made it thing burn me before I know say it go burn me. Like, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
And so for me, it's the same thing. First of all, I was raised in a family where there was respect and there was love by amazing parents. So I've seen that. So I would like to think that I can speak on marriage.
Right.
I have friends who every day choose to fight. And when I say fight, not physical, but you wake up, me and you every day we wake up, we choose to get out of that bed. We fight ourselves to get up, because you can drown in depression. Everybody's going through shit.
Yeah.
You can choose not to. So I have people who wake up every day and choose to fight for their marriage, to fight for their individuality while still being a unit. And so I see that every day, and it gives me hope.
Right.
And I know that this thing can happen. But we're so caught up in too many memes and too many negative narratives. And I tell people, when you hear things that are loud, best believe that the people who are going through the positive don't speak about it. It's always the loudest
negative ones, yes. So when celebrities are divorcing, I'm like,
But you can name, between me and you now,
yes,
sit down here now,
I name
content.
plenty. Or they say, oh, millennials are always divorcing. I'm like, many of my friends are still married.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so it's one of that. So that video for me was because I'm constantly hearing people project a lot of things on marriage and then tell me not to have an opinion about it because I'm not married. And I'm like, I'm not aware that I'm not married. However, it doesn't stop me from having exactly what that is, an opinion about it. I'm not saying I'm right. I'm not saying I'm speaking with facts. I'm saying theoretically, logically, I've sat down and this is what my concept and my idea and understanding of this thing is.
Yes.
For when I was small, my mom told me marriage is an institution. They say when they call you Mrs., because it's Masters in Residential Services.
I love it.
Yes. My mother is a Shekiri woman. So she would tell you that. But if there's one thing that I saw, because you literally live by actions.
Yeah.
And that's why I tell people that fundamentally, getting married is not even my biggest concern. It's getting married to the wrong person. Because you see, what you raise your child in, that foundation, it's why a lot of people can't stay together. Because fundamentally, first of all, we're all coming from different homes.
Yeah.
But if we don't have certain things of value, we can't be in alignment.
Yeah.
So I'm not married, not because I don't want to be married.
Right.
I think there's a lot, oh God, Pimbo. I know that there's a lot that I bring to the table. However, I also know that I'm one of a kind. And if you're a man who doesn't know who he is, you cannot be with me. And I say that with humility. You can't.
Yeah.
Because I'm not a doormat. I'm again a very self-aware, very introspective, and for lack of a better word, I think I get small intellect, right? And so if you don't know who you are, I don't want to be the one to tell you who you are, but I can't help you out. We have a lot of people, both male and female, who don't even know who they are. This is before we even talk about insecurity and before we talk about, it's just at the depth and at the core of it all.
Yeah.
They don't know who they are. And I tell people, I know who I am. I also know whose I am. And that whose I am is to say that, yes, I'm aware I'm flawed. But because I'm covered by Jesus, I also know that I'm also perfect. So I'm looking for somebody who can come and take all of this imperfection, appreciate it for it, and I take yours as well. And then we move on. I keep saying it that marriage for me is two whole people coming together to become wholesome. Not broken people coming together. It's whole, and whole doesn't mean you have it all figured out. It doesn't mean you're void of flaws. It means you own all of your shortcomings and all of your upcomings, if that's the word. And you take it, and then this person too comes with it, and then together you are wholesome because you're trying to be better. You're trying to better each other, trying to bring great people into this world.
Yeah.
If I don't find that, I won't settle.
That's why I asked that question, because even me asking the question, it's like, that's such a National Enquirer question to ask. But I knew that an answer was coming. So I'm like, take it. Final thing, what is the big dream that you have for yourself that you most want to come to pass?
When I sit down and I think about, and I'm not one to plan too far ahead, not because I don't think I'm going to live long enough, but if you've gone through death from a close person like my dad, and you've gone through brain surgery where you feel like you saw your life flash before your hand, you learn to just live in the moment and enjoy it. But if I was to say if a 20-year, 30-year plan, it definitely would be to be able to, I would own a production house where we'll be creating amazing production content. I will be married, I would have children, and I'll be able to balance it like a boss. I sit down and I think about my mom, and my mom was an active lawyer. She had a law firm, she had a shop, she was going to Dubai then. Lagos, I never smelled Dubai then. My mom would enter plane, go Dubai, go buy gold, come back, sell. To make sure that our children's school fees between herself and my dad, everything was balanced out. Like we lacked for nothing.
Right.
All my siblings live abroad. All of us schooled abroad. Right. So we lacked for nothing. And it's to sit down and to say, a woman and a man can do this equally. And it can happen where you can be a woman where you are having a stable home, your children are lacking for nothing, your husband is lacking for nothing, and you have a thriving business. Yeah. And because I've seen it happen, I know it can happen. And so when I sit down, I actually see myself doing that. And hopefully running one small law firm somewhere where we go to notarize things, quick, contract for you, just pay us quick money.
And then we move on.
And we move, bros. Because now you need multiple streams.
Oh, yes.
So yeah, when I sit down and think about that, that's where I see myself.
Thank you so much for a sparkling conversation.
This was fun.